Hello, Governor. I think I need to put these on, don't I?
You're live on Facebook now, so I'll send it to you.
Okay, we are live on
Hello,
Facebook.
Facebook.
So, Doc, you go ahead and get us live wherever else you need to get us.
Give me like a minute, and then I'll be right there.
Okay,
Hello,
well, we're
Facebook.
going
30
to.
seconds, 30 seconds.
So we are live on Facebook.
Yes, and I'll share it.
So these people don't know that we need to wait to be live elsewhere. So we can say hello to people.
Hello.
Hello, people.
Hello, people on Facebook.
And for those of you who don't know, in our studio tonight on Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max is me, Doug Max, him,
Jeff
Jeff.
Salamando.
and him.
Hey, you know you're right about this mic. Oh, John Poveromo, how you doing? You're right about this mic. It's fucking weird. Oh, I'm not supposed to.
Did you
curse
maybe
again.
try the other?
Well, that's
Okay,
it.
John.
That's how I lost
Thank you for
it.
visiting.
Yep.
That's
Thank
how I
you
lost
for
my job.
visiting.
That's how I lost my first job in radio.
Really?
Said the F-bomb.
That's it. Oh,
My mother, sit down.
that can't be
Now that
out.
I can say the
I can't
F-bomb,
say
I
long,
don't.
by the way, but that was gonna be
Sit
my
down.
out.
Put $1 in the
I just-
kitty.
I just did
You're
it.
live, buddy.
Okay, now we're really live.
Just give me the
So
pen.
it's time for us all to sing the Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max theme song. I'll start us off.
Wham, wham, chicka, chicka, wham, wham.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max this week with only Max. That's me. Some of you already heard we have in studio the wonderful Jeff Salamando and John Poveromo, wonderful comic. Been in. He's a what do we call you? He's a New Jersey staple. A wildly popular, touring all over the country. I was just on a radio show with him recently somewhere.
Yeah.
I forget where that was, but
I think it was yours.
because I'm all over. It was somewhere.
Yeah.
But you've been all over Florida,
Yeah.
all over Florida,
Just,
all over.
yeah. Florida the state, not a stripper, by the way. You said it so many times. It just sounds like.
Have you ever been?
Florida
to
Jones.
Florida?
I have been to Florida, yeah. Wow, now I can hear myself.
So anyway, we were on a show recently, so I asked John to come on. And,
Yeah.
this is by the way, this is number one, our show dedicated to the wonderful comedy duo of Laurel and Hardy. Woohoo! And I was very lucky. I grew up with them. They were on every weekend.
You are old.
I'm 62.
We're
I'm
talking
very
about
old.
that. No.
I'm very old.
You grew up with
I could, if I make it through the show, I'll consider myself lucky. Count the moments.
Yeah, you grew up watching them, though?
I did, and the Marx Brothers, and
Who were your favorites?
well, this is a Laurel and Hardy show.
Oh,
John.
well, I mean, I don't
so
think
my
anybody...
favorites were the Marx Brothers, and we've got a call on. My favorites were the Marx Brothers and that other duet team. What were they called? What were they called? Abbott. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
No, only...
Hello?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you very well.
We can
Hello?
hear you
Okay.
very well.
All right. We got you.
Hey, Abbott and Costello fans.
Hey, Salmonella. What
What's
up?
up, Dougie? What's up?
Sal, thank you for calling in. So we
loud.
wanted to begin our. Sal, hold on a second.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
She's just loud.
Okay. So we wanted to open. Our first show was with featuring the comedy stylings of Abbott and Costello, and through that we met Jeff, and we met our guest Sal Ranella. And does somebody have a radio on in the background that they should turn off, maybe?
I don't know, Sal.
Sal, turn off your
How you
radio
doing?
if you've got it on. We're gonna blame
Turn
you.
off your radio.
Anyway, so we've been
I don't have
friends.
my radio on.
We've been friends with the folks that have kept Abbott and Costello's memory alive for many years. We met them at Lou's 114th, 12th birthday party.
I believe
Last year.
Last year would have been, let's see.
It doesn't matter.
1906.
Anyway,
16.
Sal Ranella of Lou's Angels, Jeff also of Lou's Angels. You guys did something absolutely remarkable in this day and age just last weekend.
Yes, we did. We did our annual
Yes, we
cleanup
did.
of Lou
We had
Costello
a
Memorial
gorgeous
Park.
day out there, actually.
And it was, considering the hurricane was supposed to be blowing through, we didn't know what to
Yeah.
expect. And we ended up doing a whole heck of a lot, more so than we did in previous years. We had a lot of help, and we got to give a couple
Lot of
people
help.
some
It was
shout-outs. But
Did
it
you
was
get
a
a
huge success?
Did you get a picture of anybody washing the inappropriate part? Because that's what you brought up last time.
We kind of did a video with that.
Did you do boomerang?
With
A
like the
boomerang?
suds dripping down real slow and all
Wow,
that. We
that's
got to put
sexy.
music to it. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. You don't want to give it out
It's
too.
sort of like a daddy thing. So.
Right. It's a dad bod thing. I get it.
Connection's a little bad.
Yeah, you're a little.
Hello?
You there?
The connection's a little warbled.
Your
Hear me?
connection, we can hear you, Sal.
Yeah, we can hear you pretty good. Pretty
Okay,
well.
good. Yeah, it was a fun day, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. Last Saturday, September 15th, we all gathered in Patterson at about 9:30 and spent most of the day cleaning up the park. We had all of Lou's Angels there. We had some family of Lou Costello there. We had Lou Cristillo, which is Lou's grandson, and his lovely wife, Aisha. They were out cleaning things up and helping us and collecting trash and twigs and sweeping up. And we had a company called Commercial District Services. They're from Jersey City. And we have to give a shout out to the president, Chris Bernardo, and the CEO, Jerry Blankman, because they came out with power washers and disinfectant and just climbed up onto the gazebo and cleaned and scrubbed and picked up dead birds and used needles because it's
Dead
just-
birds?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
kind of sad. It was kind of sad.
I
That
found
sucks.
a used needle. That was not cool. I
No.
found a used needle, but I also found a very cool medallion
That's right,
that
you
I'm going
did.
to start wearing on stage.
You did, and thank God no one, thank
Yeah.
God everything was executed in a safe way. And we climbed up
Yeah.
and we cleaned the statue, put a fresh flag in his hand, spent the afternoon, and it was a good success. But I have to give those guys a shout out at CDS, Commercial District Services. They came in, they donated their time and their resources, and they put themselves to work. They really did. And also the mayor of Patterson, Andre Saya, he showed up. And
Yeah. The mayor, Andres,
Saya,
showed
yeah.
up, shook our hand, took a picture.
Yep, that was very nice, and that garnered a lot of community support. People were walking in off the street into the park, asking us what was going on. They were taking pictures in front of the statue. They were talking about Abbott and Costello, just people that weren't even part of the group. They wanted to know what was going on, and there was just a lot of knowledge and questions. And it was fun. It was a success.
Hey, we gotta give a shout out to Jeff, who put together the press release, and who
Thank you.
also put together the certificates that we gave out to everybody that came out to help clean the park. And actually, Jeff, we've got to give one to Max and Mongelli.
Oh, yeah.
Mongelli and Max. I know they're fighting over who gets first billing, but that's besides the point.
Uh-oh.
But they should get a certificate each.
I have them in my car. I have them in my car.
Team, only because they had us on to help us promote it. Anybody that helps us should get one.
Absolutely, and I have them in my back seat, so they're right there in the parking lot.
That's awesome. Da, da, dee,
Wow.
da, da, da,
I've been wanting to be certified. I'm honored. Thank you. We've got another caller on with you, Sal. Hello, caller.
Hi.
Oh, it's Ginny Capitelli from Long Island.
Okay, so we're going to let the three of you talk about your wonderful
Hey,
Lou
Jenny.
Costello Park cleanup. Okay? You got 3 minutes in.
All
Go.
right. Hey, Jenny, go ahead. We were talking already.
Okay, lot of static in the background there. Well, we had a great cleanup. Everybody showed up. They did a good job. We had a company come and take care of the statue with a power sprayer. And we had food. We had bagels. We had donuts. We had pork. It was a great day. Everybody helped, and they.
Well, we didn't have food. We didn't have food. We had carbs. And Max and Mongelli would have loved those. Mongelli would have loved those carbs.
Yeah, that's true. We had a lot of bagels and donuts.
You guys are making
A
me
lot
hungry.
of bagels. We didn't have food. We had carbs.
Yeah, lots of
Okay,
carbs.
Carbs, right. Okay, whatever.
At the Bud Abbott party, we'll have food.
Okay. That's coming up.
Excuse me, Doc. Your privacy setting is you've selected an audience. You haven't made what you shared public.
Yeah, I did.
I can't reshare.
We're doing a behind the scenes part of the show right
Yeah,
now.
you guys
by the way,
go on.
so,
You guys go on with your
Yeah.
part of the show.
This is almost like a Larry Sanders
Well,
thing he's doing right now.
It's the Us show.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Congratulations, we have a new show.
we have a new
All right.
show.
Hey,
Just background noise.
Can I tell you something? It was never really funny talk with Mongelli and Max. It was with Mongelli and Max, but the rest of that name, there was nothing.
Once
to
we
it.
found out Tom was under the weather, the coup started.
Yeah, exactly. We knew how to take it over.
Kidding, Tom.
There was poison in that sandwich. The guy from before was
That's,
John Brecco was
hey,
going to give him.
this tastes,
Laxatives.
Yeah.
this tastes kind of funny.
But yeah, it's everything turned out to be really, really nice. And we're also planning another event upcoming for October 13th for the Bud Abbott birthday party.
Oh wow.
We're going to do that at the Patterson Museum. I believe we're starting noon, Jenny. You there?
Give or take.
She's not there.
Hmm? Okay.
Let's say doors open at 12:30, event starts at 1, and Max and Mongelli can start at noon.
There you go.
It just sounds like you guys.
We were trying to figure out a way if they could broadcast from the sites.
They
Yeah.
could start their act while we're setting up the tables and chairs.
There you go.
We actually have an entire act developed to complement setting up tables and chairs.
Now see, that's something that we can do.
What's that called? Eating? Sitting down and eating?
But really, we're going to just
Hey, you
celebrate.
guys, we'd love to have you guys come and say a few jokes.
Yeah, we're gonna see if they can actually do a live broadcast.
What's the date?
The 13th of October.
That'll give me some time to write a joke.
There you go.
We'll see what we can come up with.
But yeah, definitely come help us celebrate the birthday of this legendary straight man and the complete
Listen,
birthday.
It's going to give my speechwriter, Jeff, some time to write me a joke, too.
There you go. But we're
so
gonna
You know, starting in...
You guys are all getting together to celebrate the birthday, but see, my friends and I used to make up holidays to get together and get drunk too. So I
And
just think
that's
that's
a Bud Abbott
that's. I
birthday.
was gonna say that's exactly.
Well, we're going to do the whole celebration. We'll have refreshments and movie selection.
Yep.
50-50, a silent auction. Chris Costello
Nice.
is donating 5 stills that the Bud Abbott family and the Costello
She coming in
family
for?
are signing.
Does she live in New Jersey?
No, she's out in California.
Oh, but she's coming in for the birthday.
She usually she might not, depending on what her schedule is, because she has a career going on. She works in travel. So
Why don't you guys do something
depending.
for John Candy?
That's my boy.
Yeah,
I knew John
right?
well.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
No way.
I swear to God.
Yeah, we're changing the show now. We're not talking about anything else but this. Wait, how did you know?
One of the nicest men that God ever put into the entertainment industry.
That's all anybody's ever said. Whoever knew him.
Real
That's
quick,
awesome.
A buddy of mine was a Canadian DJ by the name of Scruff Connors. He was Canada's Howard Stern, and they
Right.
lived next door to each other in Holland Landing.
Get outta
Ontario,
here.
Yeah,
That's
Lakeside
a-
Drive.
Oh my
Lakeshore,
God.
Lakeshore Drive.
That's
It's
so
nice
cool,
when
man.
You know, when you think somebody would be really, really nice, and it turns out that all the stories are that they
Yeah.
are really, really
Love,
nice.
it's an odd word to use, but a lovely human being.
Yeah. No, I mean that's
Another one who went to sing.
Yeah, I ran into Catherine O'Hara 3 separate times when I started doing stand up, and by the third time I actually went up to her because I was too young to I was new, still completely new in the business or whatever, and I went to see Spamalot, and she was in the audience, so saw her then, and she
Very
was
cool.
hanging out or whatever, and I ran into Bob Saget at that point too,
Oh,
because
geez.
it was like it was like the third week it was open, and then another night I saw her. Walking down the street in Manhattan, same thing again. And then I was coming out of Joe Franklin's comedy club, by the way,
yeah.
which was nothing to brag about. It's fucking Joe Franklin. But she was coming out of a limo with oh my God, what the hell's her name? I can't think of her name.
Spun.
Andrea Martin.
Martin. Oh, SCTV.
Yeah. So they were, they're hanging out, but they were
Right,
coming out of a
right,
limo,
right,
and I was
right.
coming out of the comedy club. So I walked up, and I was like, "Listen," I just started doing stand up, and I just want to tell you I'm a huge fan. Yada yada.
Awesome.
And she was like, "That's really sweet," and I was making them laugh or whatever. And then she's like, "Well, what about her?" Because I didn't see Andrea Martin.
Wow. Well, she's tiny.
I know, but I just saw Catherine O'Hara, so I was like, "Oh my God!" And she's like, "What about her?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know you were." And she was like, "Nope, too late." And I was like, "No," I'm like, "Let me make it up," like whatever.
That's
So
awesome.
then they were cracking up and walking up, and then
so
I
cool.
stalked them for like a block while I was on the phone with my
course.
mother,
You have to.
and I was like, Catherine O'Hara's going down the street.
As
I
long as
know
you're
what I
not
was
trying
gonna-
to steal shoes off them or anything.
They went to a building, and I was like, God, it's brutal, like an apartment building. And I was like, I guess they live
Yeah.
around there. But yeah, she's awesome. And John,
Yeah,
you know,
he did something called Radio Candy, and he would go from radio station to radio station, major market
No
cities.
way.
And I had worked at Eagle 106 in Philadelphia,
Right.
and I co-produced some of his Saturday morning shows when he would come in.
that's so
And
awesome.
he was so down to earth. Everyone would leave, and he would walk from the hotel across City Line Avenue.
Yeah.
And he would come to the radio station in Bala, and he'd be like, I don't want to walk back. Can you drop me off? I'll go to breakfast. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Oh my
cool.
God.
You know, like whatever.
Yeah. That's one dude I really wish was still around. Like, you know, I mean, I obviously, but
Tall.
Really?
Very, very tall.
oh wow,
Yeah.
see, I was,
Yeah.
he would have towered over me.
I didn't expect him to be that tall.
Really?
Yeah, tall guy.
Yeah, I've seen like almost all of his movies. And then the only one I think I haven't seen, I saw recently was Only the Lonely.
Oh, okay.
That was a great
Yeah,
one.
that
with
was
Cat.
good.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Is
That was one of my favorites
Favorite,
too. And then Great Outdoors and
Yes.
Summer Rental. My friend and I used to
Summer
watch that
Rental. I haven't
every
seen that
summer.
one, so.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
But yeah, God rest his soul, great guy.
Yeah.
You don't see him like that much anymore.
No, and he had it was a weird, not weird, but he had a very nice type of comedy.
Yeah.
Like he could be a little bit annoyed at times or whatever like that, but he's a very nice like funny comic.
Again, he didn't really
You don't see that too
steer to
much.
the blue side, you know. He
Yeah,
kinda kept it out there.
he used a little innuendo every now and then and stuff like that, but he was just so good.
Oh,
This is Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max talking about Laurel and Hardy.
and John Candy. and
John
poor
Ca-
Ginny and Sal are.
I had to know.
Why don't we just tell stories about comics you know really well? And I don't know why I'm hearing voices in the background, but
Somebody has something on, or they have a metal plate in their head and they're just tuning into some kind of space station.
anyway, no, it wasn't me.
But
so,
Yeah, it's very hard to hear. It's very, the phone is very
I'm
bad.
impressed you're hanging on.
Yeah, it sounds like they're gargling.
Oh, God.
Well, that's our. We now have a gargler on the show. Is that
That's
a
our
problem?
filter.
Nah, that's weird that you guys picked
George!
up on that.
We're on air. Stop! Your breath is fine.
Get your mother to stop vacuum cleaning. Stop vacuum cleaning.
Listen, guys, Sal, Ginny, just one more time. Give us the date for the upcoming celebration and the location.
Go ahead, Jenny.
October 13th at the Patterson Museum. Doors open at 1. Max and Mongelli start cleaning at noon.
There you go.
I love that she's screaming like she's in a hurricane.
We're gonna come clean. You didn't tell me there was cleaning. That's great. I'm OCD. I love that.
What do you, Jenny? What do you got? What do you want to add, Jen? Jenny?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What do you want to add, hon?
Oh, well, I just want to, go over some of the websites that people might want
Oh, okay.
if they're into Abbott and Costello. If they're up for it.
Uh huh.
Okay, Chris runs a product website. It's Abbott and Costello, S-A-N-D, Abbott and Costello Collectibles.com. Has everything: shirts, DVDs, mugs, blankets, you name it, she's got it. And she's also a major travel agent. And her website for that is at Crisco, CHRISCO, 815 at AOL.com. And, cruises are her specialty. She could do anything.
Yeah.
For us to Florida, to Disney, great. And one more thing is her book.
Yes.
Based on First that she wrote in 1981. It's out as a ebook. And you can get it at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com.
There you go. The
All
number one
right.
Abbott and Costello promoter on earth.
Okay, so Ginny Capitelli, Sal Manella, thank you so much for calling in, and all the best at your birthday party. Look forward to it.
Okay.
Now you
Should have
guys
John
gotta hang
hand it.
up
All
so
right,
we
guys.
don't get static.
All right, guys.
I
This is the
can't
first
make
and
out
second.
words to say.
This is like a comedy orgy and circle jerk all at the same time. There's like
And
10
I have to
people
be
on-
clean on your
10
show?
people on the line.
What the hell was that?
Somebody get me a raincoat and some holy water.
I asked
Jesus.
Jeff, I said, is Ginny a lady? He said,
course.
don't you worry about that.
Oh, okay. Jenny knows better.
Guys, thank
All right,
you so
guys.
much for calling in.
Take care.
We'll expect a call from the FCC.
Yeah.
You know what? When you guys come and perform at the Patterson Museum, expect 3 other comics on stage at the same time, okay?
That would be great. I love
Yeah.
group comedy.
This way, while they're doing your act, they can do their act, and then I'm going to bring somebody else up to promote some books and videos from someplace else. all
You
at the
know,
same
And a
time.
speed talker. Don't forget the speed
Multitasking,
talker.
multitasking is the new way.
We're gonna have like a Royal Rumble comedy routine. at the same time, like in wrestling.
I'm ready. I'm bringing my twister board.
God. Well,
Okay.
Good.
So
I'll
thank you
talk to
guys.
later.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay,
this is
John,
funny.
you were really nice to hang on
Yeah, it was cool.
through that.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
I want to
fine.
give you an opportunity. I know you need to go. You don't have to, but I want to give you an opportunity to promote what you've got going
well,
on.
I think Sal
Finally.
totally skeeved him out.
No, listen. No, I've
How
heard
do you
way worse.
skeeve a comic? That's what.
I've heard it. Just she sounds like my grandmother, so it's just weird that
No,
one
that's
that she was
hot.
alive again, and two that she brought her white noise band with her to play in the background of that whole
her
fucking
white
thing.
noise.
I'll be in Newark at the Smoke Break Comedy Show October 3rd. And then I'll be in, I think on 5th and 6th, I'll be at Kazi's Comedy Club in Virginia, in Newport News, Virginia. And then from there, I'll be in Florida doing a bunch of different gigs. I know I'll end up in Jacksonville. And then I'm in Boston for a little bit, and then I'm back in New Jersey, I think, doing something after that.
That's great.
Very cool.
So
And
yeah.
your website?
Oh, johnpoveromo.net. Yeah, find me on there. And follow me on Instagram, guys. That's where most of my stuff gets posted. So it's just John Poveromo. That's my name on Instagram.
And we were talking before the show about how much you love everyone.
I
being
do.
Around people.
Yeah, I
and
love
your
people.
Fans.
Love
You
people.
love people.
I love fans, man. Fans are great. It's just that there's no real, like,
Yeah, regular people, forget them.
Yeah, regular people. Well, even that. No. Here's the thing, though. They tend to do stuff about TV and stuff like that, or celebrities or whatever. Where they'll go like the news article or whatever it'll be will be like, oh my god, like the fans were really upset. Let me tell you something about fans. Fans don't get upset. They're not real fans. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing like so and so like put out made a statement and the fans are really upset. No, they don't give a. I mean, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on the show anymore. She just said circle jerks, and I'm just going.
They don't give a shoot.
They don't give a
Gosh
circle jerk.
darn it, they don't give. Yeah, I'll just use circle jerk as a verb. They were circle jerking. Yeah, but they, it's ridiculous. They're not real fans. I care about fans. I don't care. I don't like people who are, the terminally sensitive.
Okay,
They're-
well, that hurts my
I
feelings.
like that.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Terminally sensitive.
They are, man. There's nothing that appeases them. They were afraid of sex when they were younger. They didn't date. Now they live in a hole in the ground, and
Is
they're.
that even possible?
I'm sure.
You when you live in a hole in the ground, I used to cave explore, so I know it's a.
You
constant-
spelunked?
I spelunk.
Have
It's
you
a
ever
constant
seen-
57 degrees?
Have
so
you
don't-
ever seen the movie The Descent? I just saw that recently. Horror movie. Oh my god, it's amazing.
I don't watch horror movies. I never
Really?
understood why people wanted to see frightening movies. Like I used to get frightened of that Laurel and Hardy movie. Which one was it that was really frightening?
The one where they killed all the nuns.
Yeah, the ones.
I don't think so. That was good. There's that one with a bus full of nuns, and then they,
Nuns
they,
in Knife Land. or
Nuns in
something
Knife
like
Land.
that,
Yeah.
So I believe we
Laurel
have
kept a knife under his hat, and
So all
Nails.
over.
yeah.
So, John, I'm sorry, we're not going to make this entire show about you, although
Why?
Although it deserves to be.
No, it does.
Legitimately, it does.
Well, you guys
I
are going to
think,
talk about Laurel and Hardy.
Well, I think we might dedicate a month or two to you.
That'd be great.
I think that we should apportion things out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on in February, right? Why don't you do it?
Hey, it's my birthday.
I was thinking of Black History Month.
Okay. So
Nothing going on in
February
right?
is.
No, that's awesome. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's good. February is.
No, you know what? Do it
Black
in
and John Poveromo.
do it in November. My
history.
birthday is November 28th, so do it in November.
I kind of like.
That's cool.
You like me coinciding with
multitasking.
blank? That's fine. I understand. Do it in February.
I've
I'll
always
forget it.
wanted to come out as Diana Ross.
Yeah.
I've watched so many hours of her. I could do her. You would. I
Okay,
swear.
finish that
with
sentence.
the right makeup. You would believe I'm like. You would
Are you-
close your eyes. You would close your eyes and think I'm listening to Diana Ross.
Are you-
And you would be because I'd have her video or her tape on.
But
I'd be
you'd
lip-
still be dressed like her, and that's the part that I'm kind of trying to deal with.
I feel like he's got her skin in a closet.
Oh no! Here he goes.
So the move when Diana Ross was on the radio,
Oh, I
they
should've
had to
left.
control her. So she had to be. This is all she could do.
Yeah.
That was. They didn't want it to be too hot.
Oh.
I just remember her falling off the stage in that Central Park concert.
Oh
that she
yeah.
And this has been Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max.
Yeah,
Tonight,
okay.
our feature comic, Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. There you go.
Everything you've wanted to know about
Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy. So I believe we do have a caller that might actually.
That's
Wait, hold on.
hilarious.
Caller, call back.
Somebody call back.
There's anybody. friends of mine.
I bet
Anybody.
you this has circle jerk on it.
Dad.
They just didn't want to.
Yeah,
How are they going
lines
to
go
compete?
dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad.
Lines. You mean the line?
Lines, yeah.
The line. The line went dead. yeah, they are lighting up.
So, do either of you know anything at all about Laurel and Hardy, our featured comics for the evening?
I do know one thing. It's relative to Abbott and Costello, and Ollie and Lou met their wives in similar ways, which is a really strange story. I'll do it real quick. Ollie met one of his wives. She was a script girl on one of the movies, and script girl.
Okay.
And she hit her head on a lighting gaff, I believe. And as she was being taken on a stretcher out to the ambulance, he kind of looked at her and was like, "Oh, she's kind of hot." And then after she came back,
That's hilarious.
they hooked
That's
up.
kind of a disgusting thing to say to somebody on the stretcher. Okay, we've got a caller. Hello, you're on the air with Funny Talk and whatever. We don't know. We're just here. You're on the radio, being listened to by tens of thousands of people. We're doing well. How are you?
Hi.
But very good. I just was watching your little comedy radio show, and the topic is still Laurel and Hardy.
Yep.
Nope. John Candy.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
All
I'm kidding. Sorry.
But what I was going to say was that I was recently watching one of the Comedians in Cars copies where Jerry Seinfeld interviews Jerry Lewis, the comedian who recently passed. And in the interview, it was kind of interesting because Jerry Lewis said he wrote many scripts by himself in a very compressed amount of time. But he also said that his friend, which was one of that comedy duo, would look at his script and read every page and put notes on it. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I'm sure it's very helpful when you're like a young, aspiring person that has a mentor that will kind of give you some guidance and a lot of detail. And in that particular episode, it seems like Jerry Lewis has that script kind of always near his desk, and one of his scripts that has lots of comments on it. And then when guests come, he shows them that. So.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's a lot like Millie Bobby Brown and Drake. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. It's not the same relationship at all, is it? It's.
Watching your show, there might be a delay, so I apologize if I'm a little bit off.
Oh no, that's fine. We haven't been off all night now. We've been on target all night.
Yeah.
Stan and Ollie.
Do you have a favorite Laurel and Hardy movie?
Let me think. Not really. I guess I would watch them when I was very young. And so, to be honest, it's a little bit hard to remember.
March of the Wooden Soldiers, man.
I do remember their television show, and I guess one of the episodes that stands out is when they were trying to, I guess they're moving a piano or something, and the two of them are kind of just doing all kinds of, different hijinks of the piano that kind of doesn't seem to be very manageable. That's the only one that stands out. In my mind.
Along with the piano, I remember the scene. Do you remember them trying to get a ladder through a door? And I must have been 5 or 6. And I'm thinking, these guys are idiots, but why can't they figure this out? But it was very, very funny, and they were known for messing everything that they did up.
They also didn't they have very successful careers prior to being together?
I don't know. Let's check Wikipedia.
There's nothing.
I'm pretty sure they had they were in many movies prior to meeting up.
They were in many movies prior to meeting up.
There's nothing more entertaining
And they
than,
had a successful career.
than a radio show where somebody has to check Wikipedia. I hope you enjoy the sound of me typing.
Tonight, I would like to read. Listen, Andy Kaufman
Visually.
read all of Great Gatsby.
He did.
Okay? I can read Wikipedia about Laurel and Hardy.
I didn't say it was Wikipedia. I was reading it, but I like that it wasn't even like, let's just check what I should have done.
I'm going to go in tonight and edit everything in Wikipedia.
That would be hilarious.
So before the show, Jeff and I were talking because he's I'll say involved in curating what's their name again? Abbott and Costello. Those guys.
Jesus.
So
what's her name?
we're thinking about the parallels, and the two duos had so many parallels. They had the fat and thin.
Yeah.
And they had the wimpy guy that was always the butt of the joke.
Yep. And even meeting
And
the wives.
and Ollie was a bully, and Abbott was a bully.
Are you saying that Abbott and Costello stole from Laurel and Hardy?
No.
I know. I'm just all the one of them. He made one of them eat.
Actually, that's an interesting question because a lot of their acts were all rooted in the old vaudeville.
Yeah, they were. And yeah, there wasn't like that was just common.
They were hashed and twisted and banged out a million different ways
Absolutely.
by a million different people.
When Dick Van Dyke went out to Hollywood and he called
so cool.
Laurel. Yeah. When he went, well, he found him, and he was a mentor of his or whatever. But he found him in the phone book, which is impossible now, which is like ridiculous. Looked him up and called him, but one of the conversations I think they had was he said to one of the first things he said to him was, I've stolen a lot from you, and he goes, I noticed. And like, that's so great, like because I think he was just on the Dick Van Dyke Show at the time.
And I've heard that back in the day, everybody just used other people's material. And touring was very different. And if you
because you never had to go in the
so-
same place twice. You were never in the same area. And also, comics didn't bring material from their personal lives into their act. It was all, take my wife, and all that other stuff too. So they could do that. Like Buddy Hackett's kind of like, he was towards the end of it, but he was kind of like that too.
But now steal somebody's joke and
Oh my
Facebook.
God.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's not
And
just stealing it.
legitimately so.
Yeah. Well, and then, but you know what I noticed too, though, and it's kind of envious of that kind of stuff, though, is like sketch performers and actors and musicians all talk openly about borrowing. There's material, or like Amy Poehler was just talking about Gilda Radner, and said that most of her impressions and everything else was just a Gilda Light that she did for years. And when you think about that and you watch her now, it's kind of like, oh my God, absolutely. And then, but like musicians and stuff like that do that all the time. You just can't, but you can't get up on a stand-up stage and be like, and now I'm going to do the best of Richard Pryor.
So did
And they're like, wait a minute, what? You're not even, you're white.
Well, it's also their individuality. Like Abbott and Costello had that delivery, that chemistry.
Yeah, they're complete. I think they're completely different.
this show is about Laurel and Hardy.
Right.
Laurel and Hardy.
We were gonna tie it back.
Laurel and Hardy.
Didn't you just bring them up a minute ago?
Yeah, we were gonna.
Abbott and Costello.
We were gonna tie it back in. No, they were for me though. That's kind of funny though, because I loved Laurel and Hardy when I was a kid, because I'd watch it with my great uncle. Like we'd watch it, and I watched March of the Wooden Soldiers. I loved that movie.
Yep.
And I watched some of the old, because they used to, what they used to play them right New Year's. Like sometimes they would run
Right
a
around the
marathon.
holidays,
Yeah,
yeah.
right around the holidays. So they'd be on, and then but for me, because I was younger, Abbott and Costello appealed to me more. Because I don't know, there was a freshness about their movies, like Laurel and Hardy were a little too more old school slapstick.
Yeah, and the production quality too.
Well,
yeah, for little kids to see the difference between the production quality, you're going to be more drawn in.
Yeah, but I'm sure if Laurel and Hardy, like what they did, like if you look at March of the Wooden Soldiers, it was that sped up type of. But Abbott and Costello was definitely more. Like lines and like combining line, slapstick, and that.
But I think I connected
fear.
more with Lou. I felt closer to Lou than I did. But I always felt bad for Laurel, because he was always getting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was always getting picked on.
Yeah.
And I thought both big guys were mean.
Yeah,
and they were supposed to be.
And I think that's the part of the
well, it was the part of the
essence,
comedy back
and
then
it was
too.
part of what they did.
One guy's smart, one guy's dumb, one guy's innocent, one guy's not.
Yeah.
It was a good balance.
Absolutely, and I believe any straight man would say that I'm doing my job well if a little kid didn't like them.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny about the Three Stooges is now that we're going into completely different comedic heroes, is they all wound up playing those roles at certain points in time. One of them was always a smarter one.
Yep.
It wasn't always one or the other, but it was very much like this guy knew something, this guy didn't know. They got turned, they got taken turns, but they all got smacked too. So instead of it just being Bud Abbott never got touched.
Nah,
so
sure. Well,
right?
Yeah, unless he was if he was starting to get ill on stage, Lou would punch him in the stomach, and
oh, that's right.
that's about the only time.
That was about the only time.
They'd switch the role. He'd switch it real quick, and
right?
Nail him one, and
I forgot about
stage
that.
and end it real quick. But that's about it, though. But in the general scheme of things, no.
Yeah, exactly. So, but all the three of those guys did their thing, and the Marx Brothers were, but they were more like intellect.
It's just from a historical perspective too. I mean, it brought media out. It shaped the art of comedy and movies, and kind of tied everything together.
And no one worked with Laurel and Hardy, did they? Like they didn't have like any kind of like
a lot of female actresses at the time, but
but nobody like you know what I mean. No one on their level,
right? Well,
they didn't do a lot of
absolutely
crossover stuff, did they?
No, they were
because I know like Abbott or Lou Costello didn't even have a radio program too, and he had other guests on.
They
and
had
stuff.
everything. They had live performances, radio programs. They visited PR hospitals, movies.
So Laurel and Hardy was very insular, I think.
But the time too.
Well,
at the time, there weren't many options.
They were what, 15 years before.
26 to 55, I think.
We can, we're the experts here, so we can just.
I'm not an expert. I'm just here to bullshit. But, I'm not even supposed to be.
Anyway, as you guys were talking about Laurel and Hardy,
we figured we'd give you time.
I also thought about me and Tom. And Tom and I have a very similar dynamic. He does his stuff. and
You're right.
I'm the bully in our
You're the
relationship. I
bully.
think.
You're
I'm the bully.
He's-
You're like
he's
the
kind of a
tiny
straight man.
Yeah, you're like the tiny dog in the Warner Brothers cartoons. It was like the runs the thing, and then the
Yes.
other dog is like big and dopey.
He's the tiny straight man that likes to dress up like Diana
Remember
Ross.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's a fucking image I need in my head. That's gonna be
But
brutal.
yeah, I mean, there's,
Yeah.
there's similarities.
What
There
happened?
are.
This I know you guys want to know this story. I was staining my oak floor, and I didn't want to use one of the color stains that was available. I wanted it to be a charcoal gray, and I Googled it, and I discovered if you soak steel wool in vinegar overnight, strain out the steel wool, and put it on wood, it'll age it and turn it gray.
All right, Martha Stewart.
Okay.
What happened? When did that? Where did
So
that come
I
from?
did this to the floor. And when I wanted to walk across to go to the bathroom, so I took off my shoes because I didn't want to mess it up. The bottom of my feet became black for like 3 days, and my hands were all.
Oh, no.
I looked like my feet looked like Diana Ross.
That is the most racist. I'm on that note. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard you say. I'm insulted, and I'm leaving. That is awful.
my God.
But
That
I
is
hope
awful.
you'll come. I hope
That's
you'll
my
come.
big. That's my big walk.
I need some pips. So I hope you'll be my backup. when
Sarah
I-
Jessica
when I
Parker in
go.
the foot thing, I can see. But
Thank you, John.
Diana, John, thanks.
John
man.
Poveromo, guys, check out his touring. Go to
We scared a
johnpoveromo.com.
comedian away.
No, he was looking for an opportunity, and I gave him an appropriate segue with that inappropriate story.
Oh, that was great, though. Oh, Jesus.
Well, it
Jesus,
was
Jesus.
great, and who would have thought that story would have come out on a show dedicated to Laurel and Hardy?
Yeah. I mean, the Diana Ross foot story. No, I don't know about
So,
that.
Jeff, I guess right now, callers, just keep on calling. We're sorry we've been tied up, but you're welcome to call in area code 609-807-2492. The lines are open. We'll talk about almost any
Anything.
comedian
Any
other
comedian.
than Laurel and Hardy on our special show dedicated
To Laurel and Hardy.
to Laurel and Hardy.
But the movie that they're coming out with, that I want to see. I don't know. The
A
title is
biopic. Yep, it's got a lot
Another
of publicity
Fine Mess
coming
or
up.
something, I think it is. But they really get into the nuts and bolts, their personal lives, all of their challenges, everything that they went through, all the romantic interactions, all the wives that they had, and how it affected their relationship and their success. And apparently, it's kind of a melancholy end where it focuses on their actual demise as a team, like the mid '50s when things just weren't kicking anymore. And a friend of mine was able to see the movie, and his first reaction was, it's Oscar material. And he's saying that they did such a phenomenal job capturing the essence of these two, not only professionally but personally.
That's
it
great.
Ties it all together. So I
That's
can't
great.
wait. I think there's going to be a
That's
line
great.
for this movie.
And guys back then, and we'll talk about those comedy duos. They
Yeah.
had such a great pulpit. I'm looking. 50 movies, 100 movies, 200 movies. They were the sitcoms of the day. This was, they were before TV.
Right. Your
They
television
were
was in the
before
movie
TV.
theater.
They had radio. It was vaudeville. Probably one of the reasons why comics stole material too, because if they're touring, you go to a place,
Absolutely.
a year later, you could.
It's fresh to them.
Yeah.
And they can take it and put their own personal spin on it, and then all the odd things. I think they show a little bit about Stan Laurel when he was understudying with Charlie Chaplin in London, which was
I read about that.
really
yeah.
strange. I didn't know that. Apparently John did when we came in, and we were talking about
Yep.
Laurel and Hardy
Yep.
before the radio came on, and that was strange in itself. So he actually, talk about the Costello, the tie-ins. Costello was a big fan of Charlie Chaplin, and then here you have Stan Laurel, who was an actual understudy to him. He must have brought so much into their relationship, it's just like Costello did
Yeah.
with Bud. So a lot of it's synonymous, a lot of it's individual, but the recipe of what they shared together and how they made it work, that chemistry makes it kind of completely different. So I think that's why they were both successful in their own means. No one ever just said,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's another Laurel and Hardy." Oh, it's they're two individuals. But I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing
And
the movie.
it's
and learning
hard.
more.
It's hard to figure out how things connect and jive and entertain at the same time. But it's interesting. The common traits of the bully and the wimp is a very I don't know if it's a comedy formula or not. Listen, in my comedy, somebody's always getting hurt. Although in my comedy, it's always me. Usually.
Tragedy.
Well,
Tragedy
listen,
begets comedy.
well, you know very well. They're the other comics that are, into propping.
Oh, look, they're calling in on your cell phone. Who was it?
It's my dad.
Daddy's on the phone.
Oh my God. You know what? Why not?
Put him on. Ask your dad about Laurel Hardy.
Hey, Dad. Dad, I'm on the radio show now, so we're live, being broadcast all over the world, so I can't really talk to you a lot. But I'm not gonna come home tonight. Okay. Okay, so
That's
you
great.
Get to sleep. Okay, I made it down here. Okay.
Aw, see?
Thank you. Tomorrow morning. All right. Okay, Dad. Bye.
That's a first.
And this has been Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max. And as you all know, our topic for tonight is also Jeff brought along. He didn't talk about this. A pink pig.
No. I found this on the floor at my feet, a little pink pig, and it kind of really looked like something I didn't want to touch at all. But when I found
he
that it was a
did.
pig, well, I
You're
knew
a
it was.
brave
I saw
man.
it was a pig, and I was like, okay, fine. No compartment for batteries or anything like that. But yeah, it's some kind of little toy.
So anyway, I was making a point before my father interrupted us. And my point was going to be that, I think of the relationships that I had, my friendships.
Yes.
And it always seemed like there was that kind of dynamic and the teasing and the going back and forth. And it's a very common dynamic. And I know it's a common dynamic among men. I don't know if it is among women. I've heard stories of them, in their own, there'll be somebody catty and.
Oh, if you look at the female, you nailed it. If you look at the female comedians, when they talk about their friendships or experiences with other women, it's usually along the catty, and that's what makes their material funny. Whereas, like you said, with the guys, it's more of a bully, but yet there are female bullies out there too. So.
But the other point is, does there need to be a weak and a strong? Does there need to be a smart and a stupid? Does there need to be a
opposites attract, I think. So they play off of each other. If you have two people, like even if you look at some of the modern TV shows, if you have like two nerds sitting there in one room and there's not at least some type of personality difference, it's not going to kind of roll. You need that extra spark, someone that's a little off the wall, someone that's a little different than the other person. Because if it was all the same, I don't know how they would pull the punchline. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't know. I think it would be.
I think that's very common. Going through in my head of all the duos, Burns and Allen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Gracie she always got him. She was clearly the smart one in that.
Exactly, pushing the buttons.
He was a great setup man. Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon.
Absolutely.
Same kind of thing.
It's the banter. It's what goes back and forth. And I think that keeps it fueled, and it keeps it funny. But
just like we're being tonight.
I know we're
about
hilarious.
Laurel. Jeff, I don't know what I would have done without you tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you for dinner.
Coming in. Oh, you're more than welcome. Wonderful dinner at Villa Barone. Oh, by the way, I've forgotten. So one of our shows, wonderful supporters, Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions, has wonderful shows coming up. So if you're listening, look into J. Irwin Productions on Facebook, and you'll see what shows he has coming up. And I know he has some wonderful shows coming up, even though I'm not on one of them.
Well,
what's wrong with him?
You have to ask.
Every time I see a show with comics book that aren't me, I'm like, what's wrong with these people? Don't they know? Don't they know what kind of laugh I can get? And I'm like, of course they don't, Doug. They've listened to this show.
You're going to come out with us October 13th, and you're going to come to the Patterson Museum, and you're going to be funny.
Ginny already said it. It starts at 1.
Yep.
Tom and I can be there at 12 and set up.
Yeah, definitely. Set
So
up.
nobody's going to be there. You're going to be setting up the tables. We're going to be entertaining the people that are setting up the tables. Then the gig's going to start, and we're going to be gone.
Well, the focus, you're not going to be gone. The focus is going to be obviously on Lou because it's his birthday.
What?
the focus of the
I
event
thought
is
she
gonna be on
invited
Lou.
us to come up. Didn't she say the great Mongelli and
No,
Max?
no.
Funny
you're,
talk.
You're going to come up and you're going to make your appearance and you're going
Who's-
to get everybody
Who's
laughing.
who's it supposed to be about?
This guy Lou Costello. He was in movies. I don't know
Bud
if you
Abbott.
remember him.
Bud Abbott.
Did I say Lou? Oh my God, yes I did. Bud Abbott. Sorry, my bad.
Bud out of it. Bud out of it.
But this guy, Bud Abbott, it's
Who is Bud Abbott?
Bud Abbott was a straight man for Abbott and Costello. He was a comedic actor, vaudeville guy, way back, who made it very big in the movies.
And it will be his 100 and what birthday?
There's an interesting story right there. Okay, now
Can you make it a Laurel and Hardy
I'll make
story?
it. All right, I'll make it a Laurel and Hardy story.
Just use
Okay.
the names. Just use the names. Tell the stories with whatever characters, but
It seems that there's a discrepancy between about the Stan Laurel's date of birth. Okay, it's either 1895 or 1897. Okay, so I, being the brilliant man that I am, I figured, hey, I'll just go on Find a Grave and just check out what the tombstone says, and that'll give you the accurate information. Well, I did, and apparently he was Stan Laurel was cremated, and the ashes were tossed out into the sea, and there's no stone. So then I reached out to Chris Costello Laurel, and I had said, "Hey, listen, we're having this discrepancy. What's the real date of birth?" And she provided me with what she believes to be the real date of birth as far as the year goes. So this could very well be, let's say, his 113th birthday. It's either the 11th or the 13th, but according to all sources, it's the 113th because there isn't. Even Wikipedia, believe it or not, seems to have the date wrong. So
that's incredible. I'm going to be 63, and I'll be lucky if
Yikes.
anybody celebrates my birthday.
I stopped. I hit the 50 and I stopped. So no. But yeah, there is a discrepancy there, but we're trying to get to the bottom of it. But I believe, of all people, she would know.
Okay, so what was the famous catchphrase that Hardy always used to use?
Oh, what did he say all the time? God, another fine mess you've got me into.
Another nice mess.
Another nice.
It
mess,
was
yeah.
it was said it was fine, but evidently they always said nice,
Really?
not fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So we
Another nice mess you've
Yeah.
got me into.
yeah.
And then apparently, from what I've read, Stan Laurel, we used to keep his hair really short on the sides and really short in the back.
So
when he
would look
like,
frazzled
scary
when he
and
needed
frazzled,
to be frazzled.
and he would pull it
Yep.
up. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
that was pretty cool.
And Oliver did it down in
Spit
front.
curls with
Yep.
the thing. But I did when I was a little kid because my grandfather was a huge fan. And whenever they would come on TV, I would watch them with him. But they weren't on that much as compared to the other movies and TV shows. But they were comical
Well,
and they made me
'cause
laugh.
and less for me too, because they were older.
You
So
know?
it was more Abbott and Costello and
Right. All the old TV shows they used to rerun on the VHS
Lewis and
station.
Martin had
Lewis
a
and
whole
Martin, right?
bunch of movies going on.
But I
back
think
then.
maybe with this movie coming out, maybe there'll be a resurgence, and maybe you might see a little bit of a pop in airing some of the older movies.
So in preparing as thoroughly as I have for our Laurel and Hardy episode,
I think we pulled it off quite.
one of the things I learned is from the movie the something in the desert. What's the name of the movie? Something.
Something.
The Foxes of the Desert.
Sons of the desert.
The Sons of the Desert.
So because of that movie, the all over the world, Laurel and Hardy fan clubs are formed, and they call themselves tents.
Really?
TENTS.
Okay.
And if you Google Laurel and Hardy and tents, you'll find every state
Tense.
tents has groups, and many of them across the country have 300 members.
That's super cool.
It is, and it's
Wow.
really neat. So, out of curiosity, since you're into Abbott and Costello, do you guys have names for? Are there fan clubs?
Oh, we have names
distributed
for,
throughout
but
the country?
we can't say what they are. on
Is
the
there
air.
a common name?
Well,
Oh, we do have a call.
Oh, we do.
So forget your story. Hello, welcome to Funny Talk with MONGELLI and Max, where we've been not talking about Laurel and Hardy. Hello.
hello.
Hello, this is Stanley Laurel, and I just want to tell you that I think you're all full of shit.
Ooh.
And I don't know
Isn't
Smart man.
what you're talking about.
Isn't it shite?
Uh,
Isn't it
Thanks,
shite?
Bob Greenberg. How are you?
Bob Greenberg. How are you, Bob?
Oh, Jesus, Bob, what's up?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Oh, that was great.
I thought that was Stanley Laurel. I didn't know.
Oh, okay, we got you.
I got a little confused.
We've been pretending to know something about Laurel and Hardy, but now we can pretend to know you who know a lot about Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie,
What do you
Bob?
want to know about Laurel and
Well,
Hardy?
I wanna know-
Every freaking thing you
I
can
want to
tell
know.
us.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes. We'll close out the show.
It's
I
all
want to
you,
know
Bob.
if you have a favorite movie.
Of Laurel and Hardy?
Yeah.
No, not X-rated. Laurel and Hardy.
I would say I have 3 favorite Laurel and Hardy movies. They are Big Business, The Music Box, and Sons of the Desert. That's the triumphant.
Okay, all right.
And we were just talking about
So-
Sons of the Desert because all the fan clubs are called tents. And
That's right.
there are hundreds in the country. It's remarkable.
Now, why do you love those
there
3?
was yeah.
Why do you
What were you
love those
saying?
3? Why do you love those 3 movies?
I'll tell you. I think Big Business is probably their best. Silent. It has the tit for tat motif that they owned. I mean, that's their thing. Nobody else did tit for tat, but Laurel and Hardy. That's how they did it. And the Music Box also, the carrying the piano, that whole concept.
Yep.
Although Chaplin did a film called His Musical Career where he carried a piano up some stairs, but it was just like a gag, you know. They really spent 30 minutes bringing a piano up and down the stairs. And Sons of the Desert is like, it's the blueprint for the honeymooners. You wouldn't have the honeymooners if it wasn't for the Sons
Really?
of the Desert.
That I don't think I've seen that
I didn't
one.
know that
I'll have
either.
to watch it tonight.
You didn't know that? You didn't realize?
No.
Think about the Raccoon Lodge. Think about them being neighbors.
Wow. That's
it's literally the blueprint for the honeymooners.
From Laurel and Hardy to gosh. Wow.
And then the
Honeymooners to
Honeymooners
Flintstones.
and the Honeymooners
The
became
Flintstones,
the
yeah,
Flintstones.
yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yes, that's definitely. And it's not I don't think it was an accident. I mean, there was a book of scripts from the Honeymooners some years ago. The Ralph people put it out, and it basically had scenes that were not in the finished shows. And there's actual direction for Gleason, like it says Ralph in a Hardy-ish manner says this, or a la Oliver Hardy. I mean, they were watching. The writers were watching the films.
Oh, that's
for
fantastic.
sure. The Laurel and Hardy films. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's pretty cool.
Jeff and I were talking earlier about how it seems that many of these duos have a very similar dynamic. The big bully and the weak wimp who's always the butt of some joke or some horror. And I think it's a very, very common formula across a lot of comedy teams.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Laurel and Hardy were the first or not.
No, I don't think they were the first. I think it's
No, I mean Hardy was with a guy named Billy Rouge, and they did films called Plump and Runt, like in the teens for them, and they didn't have the same dynamic as Laurel and Hardy. They were definitely more, slapstick and more, knock 'em sock 'em, and they would be like competing for the one girl in town and that kind of thing. A different kind of a relationship. But Hardy was paired off with a few people. There was a guy named Bobby Ray that he did a few films with who looked almost like Laurel, which is sometimes confusing if you see a Bobby Ray and Oliver Hardy comedy from the mid-'20s. And that predates Laurel and Hardy. So the Oliver Hardy that we know was kind of slowly being born over the years when they would pair him up with a thin person or a short person. Because I guess that was a thing, a Mutt and Jeff, if you remember the comic Mutt and Jeff.
Well, that's why I picked Tom Mongelli. I was looking for the biggest comic that I knew, and he's like the
And then you got to Jeff when you got stuck. Let's see. But do you think it's more of a relationship thing or more of a chemistry thing?
What makes Laurel and Hardy work?
Well, you were saying is what makes them work compared to others, because just like with any other comedy team that really makes it work, I think there's some kind of certain chemistry between them. You know what I mean? That just between the two, it just explodes.
The relationship and the give and take. If you watch Laurel and Hardy in any scene together, the way like Laurel could be doing something like in Twice 2. He's doing some shtick with a napkin and a potato, and he's buttering his hand and not the bread and all this. And Hardy's looking at him and looking at him and looking at him, and just at the right moment, his eyes go to us, like in a Chuck Jones cartoon.
Yeah.
Hardy's eyes go to us, and he connects with us, and we see his reaction, and then Hardy knows when for those eyes to go back to Laurel, so that you're watching what he's doing. I mean, you talk about listening, actors listening and reacting. The two of them, they had that down. They really knew what each other was doing, and they knew how to complement each other.
That's it.
Which I think a lot of the other comedy teams didn't do.
And you also mentioned something. He broke the what's it called, the fourth wall.
Yeah, that was.
And I don't know if that was
I
don't know if that was unique at the time. Well, it had to be unique at some point, and movies hadn't been out for all that long, but it was that had to be a very, very unique thing. And
Now, for people that don't know, what's that terminology mean? Breaking the fourth wall.
Well, it's looking into the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And
the
talking
idea is
to the
you're not
audience.
supposed to look into the
Interacting.
camera.
Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to be in a movie.
Looking
So,
or looking to the audience.
Mhm.
If you're on stage, it's the fourth wall. Right on stage, there's three walls. Right.
Yeah,
You're looking
absolutely.
So, but Chaplin did do that in some of his early films. He is looking at us occasionally in some of those mutual comedies and S&D comedies. So it's a stage trick, a way of stealing a scene is to look right.
Well, I
into
guess
the-
it had to be.
camera.
I wonder. Actually, now that I think of it, it would have been Shakespeare did that. He would have people make asides.
Just like when you were saying with
Yeah.
the Holy and the Straw, that it dates all the way back. The lines of the stories and the storylines. I'm sorry, but yeah, I think it goes way back as far as when the stories were just beginning to form.
I heard somebody say there are seven premises for all of comedy. I've heard people have such an opinion. I don't know if that's true or not, but
It all depends. I mean, sometimes like Bob was saying, if you have that chemistry, if you have that relationship, you can make anything funny, almost.
thank you. I've always thought that, but nobody would agree with you.
Well, I mean, and also Laurel and Hardy learned to slow things down. Laurel, as a solo comedian, would laugh at his own jokes, and he would jump around if you watch some of his solo shorts. But Hardy worked slower, and Laurel got slower than Hardy, and the two of them got slower than each other. I mean, they were like the slowest act in town, but that's what made them human, Mm-hmm. They didn't jump up and down and make faces and run around like some of their peers did in the late 20s. They fell into a cake, and they took it, and they reacted, and they looked at you and looked at me, and, it was a person.
Yeah, more relatable.
People move that way. They don't move fast like that. They're real people. So, Laurel and Hardy definitely were real people. People thought of them as friends or uncles or dads.
And listen,
or
that's a
brothers,
that's a
not movie
fundamental.
stars. They thought they were real people.
It's a very fundamental principle of comedy. If you're not connecting with people, you're not going to be able to entertain them. You got to connect with them.
Yeah.
And
say that's
you do it by being
one
real.
of the biggies. Yeah, absolutely.
So how close do you think in real life, how much of what they were doing on stage might have been fundamentally, how am I? What am
Fundamentally
I
fundamental.
Part of them. That what was Laurel really, wimpy and easily hurt, and his feelings would get hurt. Did they blow up fundamental characteristics they already had?
There you go.
Laurel and Hardy, I think. Well, Laurel was always a bright guy. I mean, supposedly, he wrote all the skits. He could direct.
We're kind of losing you, Bob.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Yeah,
that's
there you
a
go.
little
Can
better.
you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Well, no, Laurel was a bright guy, and he studied theater, and he knew all the Carno gags because he studied with Fred Carno like Chaplin did. And, he was a comedy connoisseur. Even late in life, he collected books on musical comedians and records and things. So he considered himself a writer, I think, first. There's something he signed. I think it's called his birth certificate. He wrote down that he was a writer, actor, director, in that order, So he considered himself a comedy writer.
A writer
So I think
and
he was
a director.
always, on top of things. And Hardy was a bright guy too. I think he took a back seat to Laurel there would have been conflict if they had to argue over scenes and things like that. They kind of let Laurel do his own thing, but Laurel never directed Hardy. Hal Roach said that Laurel, nobody ever told him how to act. He always came up with those things, those dandy Dan moves, those fancy moves and everything. And if he said he felt uncomfortable about a scene, Laurel listened and would change things. You know what I mean? So, Hardy was his own man, the acting and the character, and he would contribute on the set. But it was Laurel behind the scenes that was kind of pulling the strings.
Listen, Bob, you're kind of going in and out a little bit, and we're about to wrap up. So, one, what do you have to pitch? What do you got coming up that you'd like people to come and see and support?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Now we can.
You can hear me now? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm doing a show at the Hudson Guild called Words Create Reality, part of the New York Summerfest. And it's Thursday night at 6:15, Friday night at 6:15, and Sunday at 8. And I'll post it on my Facebook page. Just find Bob Greenberg on Facebook.
Bob Greenberg on Facebook.
You got it.
Great.
Sounds good.
So thank you for calling in, Bob. It was a pleasure. We'll hear from you again sometime, I know.
Nice talking to you,
Definitely.
Bob.
Be well, fellas. Good talking to you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And listen, I wanted to begin this way with an apology, but like every beginning of our show, something happens. So we had a show with Julia Scotti, and due to a technical error, we lost part of the sound for the show. And Julia, for those of you who know, is a sweetheart and has agreed to come back.
Oh, very nice.
Come back to talk with us again on October 23rd. So we're very excited to have her back. We also want to send out special greetings to the Mongelli of Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max, who is not feeling well today, which is why he's not here. So, buddy, I hope you feel better.
Feel better, man.
Because if you don't feel better and get up and get out and get back to the show, this is what the show is going to look like.
Hey.
This is what the show's going to be. An entire Laurel and Hardy show where we talk for 5 minutes about Laurel and Hardy.
No respect.
So for me, come out. Please support me. Please.
I've said that for years. Nobody wants to
Please.
support me.
October 4th, I'm going to be in the big city, New York, at the Duplex on Christopher Street. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see the time and ticket information. And it looks to be a really wonderful show, even though I'm on it.
I will be in Ireland, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Why don't you just say you got to mow the lawn or something?
No, I really will be.
Going to Ireland. Nice. Nice. All right. Well, this has been Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max. I'm your host, Doug Max.
And I'm Jeff Salamondo.
And out there in Radio Land, Tom Mongelli is somewhere.
Feel better,
All
man.
our friends. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.